All right. Hello. Hi, everyone. Good evening. Yeah, thank you for joining us tonight for our Icw Live. This is actually the part 2 of the series. Okay, for those who came last week, okay, thank you very much again for supporting us and joining us also today. Because actually today we have different guests. Okay, so you can see over here is Bryan from EY. All right, EY Malaysia. All right, I think Ming Xiang, do you want to start?
All right. Okay. Thank you very much, Evelyn. Okay.
All right.
And thank you to Sunway Test for hosting the event today. All right. So my name is Ming Xiang. I work with the Icw Malaysia office based in Kuala Lumpur. And as Evelyn has mentioned, tonight we have Bryan Ng from EY Malaysia as our guest tonight. So without further ado, what we will do is that we will go straight into our presentation first, okay? And I would like to share with you the background of who and what Icw is. And then we have a short conversation with Bryan to understand his profession, what he does at EY, and how Icw has benefited his career. So sit back, enjoy. I hope you have had a good dinner, okay? All right, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start off with a short video presentation of Icw. Please sit back and relax and enjoy.
Are you ready to future-proof your career with Icw? You can kickstart a journey that is recognized and preferred by top employers globally. The Icw Qualification is for anyone with a passion for accountancy, business and finance. And there are several pathways to get you started. As soon as you leave school, you can study for the Icw Certificate in Finance, Accounting and Business, the direct route for acquiring the Icw Qualification. While university students or graduates could enroll for the qualification during or after their degree. You may apply for credits for prior learning, also known as exemptions, or gain strategic credits at selected universities in Malaysia. What's more, you also have the opportunity to complete the Icw Qualification while being employed. Icw Chartered Accountants are highly sought after in any industry for their expertise in business acumen and strategy. 96 of the world's 100 global leading brands employ Icw Chartered Accountants, and 83% of FTSE companies have an Icw Chartered Accountant on their board. You can be a part of a global network of 186,500 Icw members and students in 150 countries and work anywhere in the world with recognition from the Chartered Accountants Worldwide and Global Accounting Alliance networks. Icw is founded in 1880 with a royal charter and is one of the oldest professional bodies with a long history of serving the public interest and supporting members globally. As we continue to work with governments, regulators and business leaders around the world, we believe that chartered accountancy can be a force for positive change. We share our professional insight, expertise and understanding of business and finance to create a world of strong economies and sustainable future for all. Check out what our chartered accountants have to say about the Icw experience.
Icw carries a lot of weight in the accounting and finance world. And the reason the brand is so strong is because it produces finance leaders who think critically, act ethically, and with integrity.
The knowledge that I gained from Icw helped me in my day-to-day work, ranging from financial reporting, tax, and how to adapt into different kind of situation at the workplace. I would say Icw provide a very strong and solid foundation to prepare the students for the actual workplace.
My current role requires me to be fully knowledgeable in fixed asset accounting, and the ACA syllabus encompasses all of these and more.
Start your path towards becoming a chartered accountant with Icw. For more info or to register your interest, please contact our Icw personnel.
Thank you. All right, thank you. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Okay, so let me introduce you to Icw. Okay, and introduce to you who we are, what we do, and our qualification. So not many people know that the Institute of Chartered Accountants in England and Wales is one of the oldest professional body in the world. We were established way back in 1880 by Royal Charter from the Queen of England. We started off in London, and today ICAEW has expanded our offices to across the world, not just only in Europe, but also in China, in Southeast Asia, in cities like Singapore, Jakarta, and Kuala Lumpur as well. We have more than 156,000 ICAEW chartered accountants currently working in more than 150 countries, all right? And 96 of the world's global leading brands employ ICAEW chartered accountants. In Malaysia, more than 200 authorized training employers are waiting to take you in and train you to be ICAEW chartered accountants. And 100% of ICAEW students in Malaysia are employed after they complete the professional level of our qualification. The ICAEW qualification is also one of the most portable qualifications in the world. We are the founding member and part of Chartered Accountants Worldwide, which consists of professional bodies and organizations from various countries around the world. We are affiliated with, for example, with the Institute of Singapore Chartered Accountants, the umbrella body in Singapore, Chartered Accountants Australia and New Zealand, Chartered Accountants Pakistan, Ikatan Akuntan Indonesia, among the professional bodies that are part of Chartered Accountants Worldwide. What this means is that, for example, with the Institute of Singapore Chartered Accountants and with CAA and ZAC, we have a reciprocal arrangement, which means that ICAEW members can also join ISCA in Singapore and become members and work legally in the country. We are also part of the Global Accounting Alliance, right, where ICAEW also has recognitions with various professional bodies, including the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants, the Chartered Professional Accountants in Canada, as well as in Hong Kong, Japan, and Taiwan. In other words, you can work almost anywhere in the world, all right, with an ICAEW qualification. Now, before we go on and talk about the modules in ICAEW, all right, I would like to introduce to you our speaker for tonight, all right, our guest speaker, sorry, for tonight, right, who at a very young age started his qualification immediately after high school, all right, and may I introduce Bryan Ng from EY. So Bryan, as we start off, would you like to share a little bit about what you do in EY and what is your current role?
Hi. So currently I am a senior associate in my audit firm EY. So I'm about to approach my third year working here. So not sure how many of you guys know what auditing is, but basically in a nutshell, it is to just verify whether the company reporting the financial statements truly and fairly. So we just check to make sure there's no fraud. So okay, like very basically, there's no fraud. So as a senior, my responsibilities now are currently mostly team management. And so I am the middle person between the bosses, my bosses, and my team. So yeah, that's just a very basic thing on what I'm currently doing.
In a nutshell, right?
Yeah, in a nutshell, very basic. Yeah.
So members of the audience and students and parents who are listening to us, if you have any questions, I would like to invite you to please key in our chat box, all right? And Bryan and I will address these questions together with Evelyn, all right, at the end of this session, okay? So as we go along, please feel free to put in your questions in the chat box, all right? So in a nutshell, Bryan, you mentioned about ensuring that there is no fraud and you check accounts and so on. Perhaps, can you share a little bit more about what an auditor does day to day? Because the general perception is that auditing is a very stressful job, all right? And some students can't see the difference between auditing and working in the finance department of an organization, right? And in fact, this audit is a huge word that is perceived to be a very difficult job. Perhaps you can share a little bit more about what a day-to-day work is for an auditor, and maybe give examples of what auditors actually do at the end of the audit.
Okay. So
Don't know where to
basically,
start.
I would say the yeah. Okay. Like the key difference I would say between auditing and maybe like just another job, maybe in the finance, I would say is as a finance okay, working under finance, you'll be only tied to the certain limited function. So you'll be, let's say, preparing a certain kind of report monthly. So like that's just an example. But if I am an auditor, I would be actually looking at the whole company. So I would be looking at things that as an ordinary person won't be able to see. So I would say this line of work is interesting to a certain extent. You get to see everything. And when you said that, yeah, it's I would say it's considerably busy. Okay, so how it works is we usually have a very tight timeline to perform our work. So I would say most of the work as an auditor is you squeeze it between that typically 2 to 3 months deadline. 2 to 3 months might seem like a very long time to some people, but like I said, you'll be looking at the whole company. You will be performing certain procedures to be checking the client's accounts, and to a certain extent we do some very detailed review. So yeah. What were the other questions? Sorry. I kind of overwhelmed. That's quite a loaded question. It's kind of a big question. Yeah.
Because I think the experience that I've normally had with auditors is that you don't know where to start because there's so much that you do. All right. But the bit that as a lay person that I'm really curious is that, so during the pandemic, okay, the way we work have changed a lot. All right. We are all working from home, and our fellow listeners and viewers who are watching us right now, I'm not sure whether you've heard, but a total lockdown will be happening from the 1st of June onwards. All right. So how does this affect your work, Bryan? How does it affect your work? Because your work is very client oriented, right? You work with clients, you audit clients' accounts, right? So how does this pandemic, how has it affect your work for the last 1 year?
I would generally say, as an auditor, our working arrangements are quite flexible. So we wouldn't be per se be at the client's office from 9 to 5 every day. So having this flexibility is one of the perks of being an audit. So during the pandemic, especially during the first one about a year ago, we actually had to work remotely. So most of our communications was done through email, and like for certain documents that we need to look at, we will all be doing it through electronic copies, or even at to a certain extent, like for those documents that are like one thick stack, then we would have to make arrangements to work at the client's premises alternatively. So the firm does take into account our safety and our well-being. So they do have very strict guidelines and safeguards in place to make sure that everyone is able to meet the deadline, complete their task, at the same time also making sure that we are safe.
So I think in summary, work still goes on, all right, in audit, right? Regardless whether it's the pandemic or not, but you have moved on to a virtual environment where, depending on your client, because EY, I've heard that EY has got very sophisticated cloud systems and all that, and you're able to work remotely. But from what you are saying, it totally depends on the clients as well. All right. So you will still need to audit documents, and the clients will have to get it to you either in scanned copies or through cloud services and so on as well. So saying, yes, sorry, Bryan, you were saying?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Actually, audit firms nowadays, we are actually trying to change and adapt to how the world is progressing. So I believe that EY is currently looking towards a more data-driven audit. So traditionally, auditors will be looking at like so-called documents. So you're looking at your bank statements, your receipts, invoices. But now we are looking at a different aspect of their reporting. So so most clients, most of the bigger clients, they usually have a very sophisticated cloud accounting system. So what EY is trying to do, we are trying to capitalize on that accounting system. And in a way, we are trying to give more value, try to add more value to the audit instead of the traditional, paper audit. That's just I wanted to add on that fact. Yeah.
That's very insightful, because I think at the end of the day, the profession is resilient if it keeps up to the times and the technology as well, right? Which comes to the bit about the Icw qualification that you are taking, Bryan, all right? And for fellow listeners who are in here with us, Bryan is actually at the final leg of his qualification, all right? He is an Icw student as well, pursuing the Icw qualification, right? So perhaps, Bryan, can you share with us a little bit about your Icw journey? And if I recall, you started Icw after your high school.
Yes, immediately after. So I believe I took my SPM. I think I got finished it in November, December. Then 1 month later, I'm already in Sunway starting CFAP.
Wow.
So yeah, so I was 18, at the time when I started. And basically, CFAP it was a 1 year and 3 months of studying. And at the end of it, we also are given a mandatory 3-month internship program. The 3-month internship program was quite an eye-opener, I would say. I think it's an opportunity not given to a lot of people, especially at the age of 19. I'm working at a big corporate firm, really getting the feel of how corporate working life is like. So that 3 months, yes, it might not have been such a long period, but I think it opened my eyes to see how working life is usually like. And once I came back from that, I continued on for another 1 year of full-time studying, the professional stage. And after that, at the age of 20, I joined EY as a permanent staff. So during EY, during my time at EY, we still had to take 3 more advanced papers. So the firm would also give us sufficient study leave to pursue these papers. We will be doing it part-time. So typically we would be gone for about 2 months from work to just focus full-time on our studies and to complete the papers. The firm is also very supportive in terms of sponsoring our papers and giving us enough study leave to actually focus on them. And yeah, like Ming Xiang mentioned, I've already actually completed the last of my advanced papers last November. So the only part to my Icw qualification, which I'm yet to achieve, is just the training agreement, which is 3 years of practical working experience. Yeah, they call it 3 years of practical working experience. But in audit, with all the overtime that you spend, you'll be reaching that 3 years in no time. Yeah, by the second year mark.
Wow. So Bryan, I think to surmise what you have been saying, Bryan, is that you had a huge head start ahead of a lot of your peers at your age.
Yes.
All right. You started the Icw qualification immediately after SPM. All right. And within 2.5 years, you hit the job market. All right. And you started working at EY at the age of 20, already earning a full salary ahead of all your other SPM classmates as well. All right. And today you are a senior associate, all right, at EY, leading a small team, right? And you have completed your Icw modules and just waiting to complete your training agreement. In other words, ladies and gentlemen, Bryan will qualify at a very young age of 23. Am I right?
Yes, 23, correct, yeah.
Right, at 23 years old, all right, Bryan will become a chartered accountant, all right, and in other words, way ahead a lot of his peers, and by taking up this, by working in EY and starting after high school, Bryan is essentially killing two birds with one stone as well. While he is working, he's also fulfilling the necessary 3 years to complete the qualification, all right, and complete his advanced level. He's also at the same time fulfilling the necessary 3 years of working experience necessary for him to qualify for the Icaw and for the work experience for MIA application later as well. Am I right, Bryan?
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Because to work in Malaysia, all accountants must be registered with MIA, and one of the requirements for MIA is that you must have 3 years of work experience. And Bryan is killing two birds with one stone by working and studying at the same time. All right. So one last question before I go back to the slides again. All right, Bryan. So how did the Icw qualification help, especially during your working life after you left Sunway test at a professional level?
Oh, sorry, I kind of got cut off. Sorry, what was the question?
Sorry. All right, there was a gap in my connection as well.
Yeah.
All right. Bryan, how did Icw's curriculum and especially the training agreement, the ethics learning program, and the professional development, how did it help you during your work when you started work in EY after your professional level?
Okay, so even before I started work, actually, Sunway test does help the students with the whole application process. So we are basically guaranteed a job after we finish our professional studies. I cannot say the same for some of my degree taking friends, like their typical degree courses. They actually have to put themselves out there on the job market. They have to go for all these interviews and stuff like that. But for Icw, because especially among the Big Four, we are actually quite highly recognized. They have high expectations of us Icw students. So if you typically ask them, they're going to tell you, oh, so you're Icw, right? Oh, so you must be very smart lah. So like, yeah. Naturally, expectations will be higher. It will be challenging, especially since this young age. I would say how Sunway test. Okay, so during the advanced paper, actually Sunway test does do a very good job in terms of scheduling all the classes. They make it possible to actually cover all the necessary syllabus within that short time, which I think it's not an easy thing to do. Trying to get a bunch of working adults, I would say, working adults to actually absorb that much knowledge in that short amount of time and actually passing the papers, I would think is quite a good job. Well done on Sunway test part. Yeah, even the lecturers are all very well prepared. I have no complaints. Throughout my whole CFAP Icw life, I would say all the lecturers are very well fitted for their job. Really, like, no joke. If not, I wouldn't be here right now. Yeah.
That's a very good testimony, Bryan, right? So for fellow listeners out there, Bryan started his education with CFAP, the Icw CFAP at Sunway test, completed his professional level also at Sunway test, and while he's pursuing his advanced level and working at EY at the same time, he's attending classes at Sunway test as well, right?
Yeah.
So, right. So to just share a little bit of what Bryan had just mentioned, right? Let me just move back to the slides and continue on where the presentation where we left off. All right. So as Bryan has mentioned, he started the Icw qualification immediately after high school. All right. And Icw, there are 15 modules in total, consisting of 3 levels, which is the certificate level, the professional level, and the advanced level. Right. Where a certificate is what we call, where you learn knowledge necessary for you to then take on the qualification. In the professional level, you learn to apply, and at the advanced level, you see how you apply in the business context. So we cover a lot of technology in our curriculum, which helps to prepare students like Bryan to go out and work, because as part of our work with Icw, we work very closely with our authorized training employers. And annually, every year, we will engage our employers and ask them, hey, what would you want to see in your future employees? And employers will tell us that, oh, they want employees with this skill, with this knowledge, with data analytics. And what Icw will do is then take this feedback from the employers and put it back into our curriculum. Icw is one of the few rare professional bodies in the world where we update our curriculum every year, which means that year by year, our students will learn new things compared to the year before. So technology, like for example, artificial intelligence, blockchain, cybersecurity, cloud computing, data analytics are all part and parcel of the curriculum that you will go through when you pursue Icw. And just like what Bryan has shared earlier in his, when we spoke to Bryan as well, right? So Bryan started the Icw after SPM, okay, all right? And he went on into the Icw CFAP program. Now, anyone can take CFAP, but in Malaysia, because our program is offered by private institutions like Sunway, okay, so the CFAP program is then combined with programs that are offered by Sunway, making the CFAP program a 1.5-year qualification, which includes internship offered by Sunway as well. So students who have completed the CFAP will then be able to move on and have a head start into the professional level program. On the other hand, the students can also have an option to take A levels and then move on into the certificate level of the Icw program, because the minimum requirement to actually pursue the Icw qualification is actually 2 principles in A levels and 3 credits in O levels. For students who do not have an A level, the CFAP qualification supplements that, and hence students who have taken the CFAP will be able to go into the professional level. And like what Bryan has shared earlier as well, upon completing the professional level, in Malaysia, you can only take up the advanced level if you are engaged working full-time in one of our authorized training employers. And that's the final level, the advanced level, where all Icw students are required to work and take up the last 3 modules while they are working, right? And that portion during employment is called a training agreement. So alternatively, we also have Icw students who have taken degrees in accounting, like what Bryan has mentioned, his peers who have pursued degree, right? So depending on where you have completed your degree, you may be eligible for credit for prior learning, or we call it CPLs, or exemptions, which will then take you into the professional level as well after you complete your degree. So as you can see in the chart in front of you, there are multiple routes to complete the Icw qualification. But as Bryan has mentioned earlier, the fastest route for you to hit the job market working will be through the Icw CFAP, which will only take you 2.5 years after SPM for you to then hit the job market and earn a full-time salary. These are some of the authorized training employers that we work with in Malaysia who are ready to take you in and train you as Icw Chartered Accountants. Right? As you can see, Bryan's firm, EY, is in the list as well. We have the other audit firms like Deloitte, BDO, EY, PwC, KPMG, Grant Thornton. We also have banks like CIMB, Maybank, Mbank, Hong Leong, and if you're interested to work with oil and gas, we have Petronas, Schlumberger, Shell. We also work with employers who are government-linked organizations like UEM, Tenaga, Sime Darby, and so on as well. By taking up Icw, you are joining a network of professionals where some of these professionals are corporate leaders today. PwC's executive chairman, Dato' Faiz Azmi, is an Icw Chartered Accountant. Tan Sri Datuk Raja Tan Sri Datuk Sri Arshad Rajatun Uda, the director and former chairman of Maxis, is also an ICW Chartered Accountant, and the current CEO and president of Petronas, Tengku Muhammad Taufik, is also an ICW Chartered Accountant. You will, excuse me, corporate leaders like the managing partners of EY, Datuk Rauf Rashid, BDO, Datuk Gan Ati, and audit partners in KPMG, Muhammad Asman J. Ani, are also with ICAW. We also have prominent women who are also chartered accountants, like Wan Shamila Wan Muhammad Saidi, the Chief Digital Officer of Petronas, who rolls out the IT infrastructure in Petronas itself, is also an ICAW chartered accountant. And if you want to grow your commercial awareness and you want to find out how businesses are doing in Malaysia, you want to understand a little bit more about how organizations are in Malaysia, tune in to BFM 89.9, where you will then be able to hear Ms. Noel Lim every day at 10 a.m. sharing with you about how corporate organizations are doing in Malaysia. And Noel is also an ICW chartered accountant, and so is Encik Mustamir Mohamad, the CFO of Sime Darby. So as you can see, if you take up ICW, you will be in good hands among the network of corporate leaders and successful chartered accountants in many different firms today. If you have any questions, we're coming out to the end of our part of the presentation. Please do not hesitate to either contact us, or if you have questions now, key into the chat box so that we can answer it as part of this presentation. And before I end and pass it back to Sunway, right, let me share with you another video of another chartered accountant, who took the CFAP route and who is actually working with another firm today.
Hi, I'm Shin, and I am an ICAW Chartered Accountant. As a risk management analyst in a natural and built asset design and consultancy firm, my job involves working with different stakeholders to perform the risk management testing in accordance to the risk control framework. This is to ensure corporate compliance with regulatory requirements. I also support data collection and data analytics in the Asia region. I was 19 years old when I began the ICAW CFAP in 2014. I had just completed my A-levels in Singapore and was interested to pursue something business related. My parents encouraged me to take up the Icw ACA qualification. It was then I discovered the ICAW CFAP, a pathway that allowed me to pursue a professional qualification without first having to complete a degree. I personally felt that pursuing a professional qualification would be more beneficial. The ICAW ACA had a variety of modules from accounting to business strategy, and that really interested me. The biggest advantage of the ICAW Chartered Accountant qualification is the prestigious recognition it offers. The comprehensive study and training program shaped me to be an adaptable, trusted business advisor who is able to pursue any career I want in any industry, no matter where I am in the world. As an ACA, my skills have been applicable in businesses such as professional services, graphic recording, and consultancy. My colleagues overseas are often surprised that I am an ICAW Chartered Accountant at such a young age. I tell them that I got a jump start on my career because I took the ICAW CFAP.
So thank you very much for listening to us. All right. So I hope you have questions. If you have any questions, please put it into the chat box. All right. So before we hand the session over to Evelyn, I noticed that there is a question in the chat box here from Man Y Kok. May I know the requirements for ICAW? Again, because I received an email that the minimum requirement for both our A levels is 3Bs. So perhaps maybe this question, probably Evelyn will be much more capable in answering this question.
Yep. Okay. Yeah. Thanks, Ming Xiang. Okay. So to Man Wai Ko. Okay. So the requirement if you are coming into the Icw program from A levels would be 3Bs. But at the same time, you also have to refer back to your SPM result or IGCSE results, whereby you have to score at least 3 credits, including the English and mathematics subject.
All right.
Right.
Thank you,
So we
Evelyn.
have another question. Oh, I think the next question is for Bryan.
Yes, from Huyen. So I think Huyen is asking Bryan,
So
how
from
did you find
Huyen.
out about the CFAP after Form 5?
I see. Okay. Basically, at that point in time, I was already set to take accounting, and actually, the only course I knew about at the time was ACCA. So it was just another random day looking through all those education fairs, and so one of the what do you call them? The consultants, is it? Consultants.
Education
Yeah,
consultants.
education
Yeah.
consultant. Yeah. So he asked me, so how are my results? If your results are that good, why have you ever heard of ICW? So this is in testament to how uh, how they filter the students. So um, in terms of quality, I would say the bar is definitely there lah. Like you have to be producing this kind of result because I think for SPM lever the minimum requirement is 5 A's as compared to like ACCA which is like 5 C's. So and like English is like mandatory A. So even if you get like everything A except for English, you'll still have trouble getting in lah. So, so yeah.
So thank you very much, Bryan. I think that's very helpful. There's a question from Wei Ling as well, and I think I can help Wei Ling with this. She's asking whether she was asking Bryan actually, were you a science student in Form 5? So Bryan, were you a science student actually?
Yes, I was a full science student. At that time, I only took accounting because it was a additional subject. Because my mom was like, my parents were like thinking like, there's no harm taking the additional subject. And at that time, I was pretty clueless about what I was going to do. I just don't. When people asked me what I wanted to do in life, I just said earn money. I just wanted to earn a lot of money. So why not start young? Taking a degree or any kind of qualification in accounting would open up many doors for you. Definitely, you have job security. Like part of the ICW course, they place you in all these big name firms. Yes, so yes, I was from Science Street. Yeah, so that's all. Yeah.
And to add to Bryan's testimony as well, for Wei Ling, right? So many ICAW students are actually from the science stream. All right. So as I mentioned earlier, the Icw qualification can be taken by anyone who is interested to pursue a qualification in accounting, finance, and business. And in fact, Evelyn may even testify this as well. Majority of the class of students that started CFAP in Sunway are from the science stream.
Yes, that's true.
Right.
Actually, even when we, counsel students when they come in, usually the first questions that science students will ask is, is it okay for me to take up accounting even though I don't have the background in it, Actually, it's okay one because the moment you come in, the first subject that you study in your CFAP program is actually the accounting subject, and the syllabus actually also pretty much similar to what students would learn in SPM.
That's
so
right.
I would say you're pretty much covered when you come into the CFAP program.
That's right. So Evelyn has hit the nail on the head. So if you're a science student, the advantage you have is that you will have taken chemistry, physics, and maths that hones your logic thinking and your critical thinking as well, right? Which helps you to understand the curriculum better when you come into the CFAP. And that's what Evelyn has mentioned as well. The first few subjects that you take, accounting, audit, will help to frame your mind and understand the accounting concepts, preparing you to understand the remaining 6 subjects in CFAP as well. But if you have taken accounts like Bryan in Form 5, or you came from an arts class where you have taken accounting, business, and so on, you will also have an advantage that at least you have the basics when you came into the CFAP. All right. So I hope that helps Wei Ling as well. Okay. Now, Triangle, a very unique name. So Triangle asks if do people who take degrees in accounting have an added advantage over those who go to the CFAP way since they spend more time? Now, Triangle, I think that, so let me answer that question. It's very subjective, okay? And to answer this question, I would like to share my screen again, back to the presentation where you can actually see the pathways, okay? So if you look at this slide, okay, so as you can see, there are many routes for you to reach the blue color box where Bryan is right now, right? Where the blue box is where you're on a training agreement, completing your Icw advanced level, and you'll be graduating with the qualification soon, right? So if you have taken a degree, right, you will have spent at least a year and a half to 2 years at pre-university. All right. If you have taken a foundation, that you'll probably be a year. If you're taking STPM or A levels, you'll probably be a year and a half to 2. Upon completing the pre-U, you will then move on to a degree. In a public university, your degree will be 4 years, while in a university, your degree will be 3 years. Of course, the advantage of taking a degree is you have an added certification at the degree level, right? So you are a little bit more secure in the sense that you have a certificate with you, right? Therefore, with that certificate or with that bachelor's degree, you can then apply and get employment upon completing your studies. But it would have taken you at least 5 years before you hit the job market, all right? Of course, if you have taken a degree, you'll be able to gain exemptions, all right? Because Icaw's curriculum, in fact, Icaw's levels of modules in the UK is mapped against the education framework. When you complete the professional level, it is equivalent to actually a level 6 degree. And when you complete the advanced level, you're actually equivalent to a master's level, all right? Hence, when we map our Icw curriculum with your degree, Icw will recognize the learning outcomes from certain subjects in your degree and award you with what we call an exemption or a credit for prior learning. And the maximum exemptions that we award is up to 8 credit for prior learning. Out of the 15, we award 8, which means that you will, upon completing your degree, you will still need to come in and complete another 4 modules at the professional level, and then only move on to complete the last 3 modules at the advanced level. So yes, the advantage of a degree is that it gives you a sense of security with the degree certification, but it would take a longer route for you to then complete the Icw qualification. But if you look at what Bryan has done, he has taken the Icw CFAP upon completing his SPM, right? And then move on to the professional level, which will take another year. In total, within just 2.5 years to probably a maximum of 3 years, he will then be able to hit the job market and work full-time and complete his advanced level. So he has an advantage of time over there. All right. So I hope that answered your question, okay, to Triangle. So I'll stop sharing my screen right now. Okay. Okay, so Husha has asked the very common questions that students ask in every presentation that we have, all right? And in fact, Bryan mentioned earlier as well, whether will someone ask about our sister professional body? So to Husha, so it all depends on what route of career you will want to take in your life, all right? So the difference between the Icaw and ACCA is, of course, number one, the curriculum, all right? And the way the curriculum is taken as well. With Icaw, you will need to be employed for you to complete the advanced level in Malaysia. While for ACCA, you can actually take all 13 papers on your own and complete before you hit the job market. The advantage of Icw for you to take up the advanced level while you work is that you have institutions like Sunway Tests who will help you to link you, right, with the employers so that you can actually have a training agreement to complete your advanced level, and that increases your chance for employment. Secondly, while ACCA's curriculum is without a doubt very technical, emphasizing a lot on accounting, financing, reporting, taxation, ICW's curriculum trains you beyond that as well, all right? Trains you with the technical knowledge as well, but we also embed you with the business faculty, with the business acumen, training you, in other words, when you become an ICW chartered accountant, to go beyond accounting and finance, and you become a professional that is fluent in both business as well as accounting. Hence, you'll be able to go beyond accounting and auditing and taxation and go into areas like consulting, advisory, and so on. So at the end of the day, Husha, it depends on what do you want to be or what is your career aspirations, because each of the different professional qualification will lead you on a different route. Okay, I hope that answers your question. To Man Wai Kok. All right, his question is going to as a science student from A levels with no background in accounting, is going to ACCA then ICW better, or going to an accounting degree then ICW or CFAP straight away a better choice? So Kok Wai, I think you have a very interesting question. Okay, and again, it all depends on you. It all depends on your appetite, or where you want to do, what you want to do, and where you want to go as well. Okay, so if you realize the last video that I played about this chartered accountant, her name is Chia Yishin. She was a science A-level student as well, right? And like I've mentioned earlier as well, if you remember the chart that I showed, even if you have A-levels, you will then go straight into the certificate level of the ICAW, where you will then take the basic curriculum of accounts, accounting, audit, taxation, and so on as well. This curriculum is geared towards teaching you, all right, preparing you with the adequate knowledge so that you're able to continue on with the other modules. So do not worry, even if you come from an A-level science background, you will be able to catch up and excel in the ICW curriculum. But similarly to my answer, all right, earlier to Husha as well, if you feel a bit more secure to take up an accounting degree first, by all means, that will be your route of choice. And you can then take up a degree and still take up ICW after that. All right, so it's all up to you. I think the next question is to you, Evelyn, all right, from Shivagami.
Okay,
How long will it take to complete 3 advanced level papers in Sunway test?
All right, actually the 3 advanced level papers, you have to actually be working at the same time. So actually you'll be under a training contract, and then while you're in a training contract for typically 3 to 4 years, then you actually have to pursue the advanced level papers, the 3 papers, as a part-time study. So yes, there will be 3 years, 3 to 4 years. That will be the standard timing.
Yeah. So to supplement Evelyn's answer as well, all right, she's very right. Okay. So as part of the ICW, as part of ICW's structure, all right, for Malaysian students, you will have to be employed, fully employed, to pursue the advanced level. And only after you're fully employed, then you will then sign and take on a training agreement. So basically, a training agreement is an agreement between the 3 parties, which is yourself, ICAW, and the employer, right? With a commitment that all 3 of you will support each other for you to complete the last 3 papers at the advanced level, okay? And typically, for ICAW, our structure states that the training agreement must have 3 years and 450 days, which means that even in that 3 years, you must complete 450 days of log working hours, all right? And why 3 years and why must have 450 days is because that's the duration that ICW deemed enough for you to gain the learning outcome necessary for you to have the necessary experience to be an ICW chartered accountant, all right? So training agreements vary between organizations. Some organizations will sign you up for 3 years. Some organizations will sign you up for 4 years. Some may even sign you up for 5 years. right? Because it depends on the work that you do, okay? But at the same time, you'll be pursuing the classes at Sunway Test, okay? Which links to the next question, which is for Bryan. The next question is actually for Bryan, okay, from TYJ, where TYJ is very curious. How do you juggle your work at the advanced and the advanced level papers at the same time?
I think I mentioned when it is time for us to actually go back to Sunway test and continue taking the papers, we are actually entitled to a certain number of days of leave. I understand that every firm has a different arrangement in terms of the entitlement, how many days you're allowed to take off. But for my case, personally, EY, they did give me a very generous number of days. I think I was absent from work like 2.5 months, I would say, just to fully focus on my studies, which is definitely more than enough. How did I cope? Yeah, so when I was studying, I didn't touch any work-related tasks at all. My bosses also know that I'm on study leave, so they would try not to email me or message me, because they also emphasize very heavily on us passing the papers first attempt, especially since the firms are actually paying for our tuition fees, the exam fees. So it's basically the same as like a paid holiday. But no, officially it's not paid holiday. Yeah, I have to study. Yeah. That's all.
So to add on to Bryan, all right? Thanks, Bryan. Okay. So Bryan make it sound so easy, but we know that Bryan put in a lot of effort, right, behind the scenes, right? So to add on to what Bryan has just shared with all of you, so that's the bit about the training agreement that I've mentioned earlier. So when firms sign a training agreement with the student, like Bryan, for example, it's a commitment between the firm and the student to ensure that the student is able to also work, but at the same time have enough time to complete and take the exams, and like what Bryan said, pass as well. Because the firm is essentially investing in you, all right? Because you are going to be the future chartered accountant working with the firm, helping the firm to earn more money, right? So that commitment that the firm gives, Bryan, correct me if I'm wrong, all right, entails things like study breaks, examination breaks, all right, which sometimes is up to about 2 months or more, depending on the organization, right? Okay.
Correct.
Yeah. And this is the commitment that the firms put in because they want to make sure that you pass the exams, all right? Okay. So I hope that answers the question as well. And we come to the last question, which is quite lengthy, from Man Wai Kok, all right? If you're unable to complete the 3 advanced papers within the 3 years, or if you manage to complete the 3 advanced papers, but not able to finish your 3 years training program, in a sense that you don't meet the requirement to pass a 3-year program, in both scenarios, what will happen to you? I think if I understand it correctly, Man Wai Kok, let me answer the first part first. Now, there is a reason why you are put on a 3 years training agreement. Number one, I've mentioned the 3 years training agreement is to make sure that you have enough time to pick up the necessary skills and experience to become a chartered accountant. Number two, I've mentioned as well, and Bryan has also answered, okay, it is to actually, the firms, when they sign a training agreement with you, they also give you the commitment that they will help you by giving you support, like for example, study leave, study breaks, exam time and all that, so that you complete the qualification and do well. Like what Bryan said, during your study break, they won't even disturb you because they want you to concentrate on the exams, okay? And that's how firms and partners in learning like Sunway Test, who will support you with the teaching, support you with the guidance to make sure you also are able to pass the exams. So, in other words, that's what a training agreement is all about. It's a circle helping each other to ensure that you as a student complete the qualification successfully. And also to answer your second question, Man Wai Kok, there is no time limit to complete ICAW. All right. Unlike any other professional bodies, ICAW does not put a time limit on you. But what we do is that for the first two levels, the certificate and professional levels, in other words, the first 12 papers, all right, there is a limit to the number of attempts you can take per paper, right? So there's no time limit for you to take the ICAW, but for the first 12 papers, we limit each attempt to a maximum of 4, which means that for every module up to the professional level, for each subject, you can only have 4 opportunities to take the exams. If you exhaust all 4 opportunities and you don't pass, you will not be allowed to continue. All right. When you move on to the advanced level, then there's no restriction. You can take the papers as many times as you can or as you like. All right. But the good news is that most ICAW students complete their exams in their first attempt. Okay. So I hope that answers Man Wai Kok's questions as well. Okay. We don't see any more questions. So maybe we'll pass the floor back to Evelyn.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so I think for today, I think I do see some names here who may have came for the session last week, but I do hope this next session will be like a refresher for you on the pathway for CFAP to ICAW in Sunway test. Yeah. So let me share my screen. Okay, if you do have any more questions along the way, you can just leave it in the comments and then we'll answer you later on, yeah? So we just want to give you a refresher on the CFAP pathway to ICAW if you come from the SPM path. So for SPM, our requirement would be 5 A's, whereby your English and mathematics has to be A, all right? So from here onwards, you take up the CFAP program first. The CFAP program, actually, the duration will be around 1.5 years. So in this 1.5 years, for the 1 year and 3 months, you actually be taking up 12 subjects examination. So 6 subjects will be the main CFAP subjects, and then the other 6 will be additional subjects. Now, why do we have so many additional subjects? Actually, to support your skills when you move on later to a 3 months work-based learning. So this program, I've been telling everyone that is very unique because it's the only program where after your SPM at the age of 19, you get to experience a 3 months internship. Normally, students will only go through internship when they are in degree programs. But for this program itself, you can already experience this work life for 3 months in just after SPM at 19 years old. So when you finish this 1.5 years, you move directly into the ICAW program. Now, ICAW, it comes in 3 levels: the certificate, professional, and the last one is the advanced level. If you come from the CFAP path, the bonus and the benefit is that you do not need to do the first level. Straight away, you start in the professional level. So here you actually already save up 1 year of your time. So you move up professional level, you have 6 subjects here, and you take typically 1 year to complete. So after professional, you move on into the advanced, which is the last level. It has 3 subjects, and then you would do it over the span of the training contract, which is a minimum of 3 years. Okay, so upon completing all of this, completing all the exams and then also the 3 years training contract, which actually fulfills the 450 working days, then you actually be able to be a member of ICAW. And then at the end, to practice a chartered accountant in Malaysia, you have to register under the MIA, Malaysia Institute of Accountants. That's actually the regulatory body for accountants in Malaysia. So this is just the whole pathway. So if you look at the CFAP structure, so the first 6 subjects, these are the core subjects. All right, everything is exam-based. There's no assignment, 100% exam. And to pass all these exams, you have to score 55 marks. So when you go through the subject, you will realize, you're actually not just taking up accounting subject. You also learn other things such as business and finance knowledge. So essentially, when you go through this program, you're actually learning some sort of like a package knowledge for entrepreneur. So, you know, at the end, if you find that you might have a knack for business besides accounting, you know, if in the future you decide to switch to, you know, other opportunities, you know, it's actually possible for you to do so because you're also picking up all these knowledge and skills from these other subjects in this CFAP program. So on top of the CFAP subjects, you see all these additional subjects. This is what I mentioned earlier, which is actually to support you, to support all your skills, and to get you ready before you go for the final 3 months work-based learning. So this work-based learning also is actually very unique, whereby Sunway Test here, we actually play our part to assist you in doing your job placement. So every student, you'll be given a chance to choose 2 of your choices, 2 of your company of choice. So in Sunway, we'll actually help you to send over your application, and then you actually be called for interview if, let's say, the employer would like to, you know, offer you a opportunity. But let's say out of the 2 options, you do not get any response back. Okay, what happens is Sunway will still actually help you to do an automatic placement, which means pretty much no matter what, the moment you come in, Sunway will already be assisting you to secure your job opportunity. See, that's why this there's a, I would say it is a high risk, high return kind of program, you know. It might sound tough, professional might sound tough, but at the end, you know, if you don't have the quality, you know, people will not be able to put the trust in you to do their job. Okay, so this is the CFAP program. So when you move on, this is the Icw structure. If you complete the CFAP course, you do not have to repeat the 6 certificate level at the bottom. You will straight away start from the professional level. This 6 paper, you will study for 1 year. And then later on, the advanced level, 3 papers. If you come from other programs such as A-level or STPM, then you will start from the certificate level Icw. You'll be doing this level for 1 year, and then professional level another year, then advanced level for the 3 years. If you come from, let's say, degree path, or any of you here who's from a degree, then it will depend on what are your exemptions. Then you will start from whichever subject that you do not get any exemptions. Okay, so that one is fully dependent on what is your degree field, and then which institution are you from. So all this actually you can check on the Icw website under the credit prior learning. So this is the comparison for the duration. This, I would say, actually, these are really would be one of the perks, the pros of why we would highly encourage students who want to take Icw to start straight away after SPM. So you can see on the top, for those who take up the CFAP pathway after the SPM, they would take a total of 5.5 years. Okay, this is a minimum duration to complete the whole program and become a chartered accountant. Okay, qualified Icw member. Whereas if you take up a degree path, you have to start with a pre-U first. The shortest pre-U is usually 1 year. Then you do up a degree, which is 3 years. Later on, you have to spend typically another 4 years minimum to complete your Icw papers. So in comparison, CFAP pathway is 2.5 years faster than the student who comes up from a degree path. So you know, nowadays getting a job is very competitive already, especially now with this COVID pandemic. We don't know how is it going to be 5 years down the road. So, you know, the faster you get to graduate, the faster it is for you to secure a job. At the same time, if you come on a CFAP pathway, Sunway will be here to actually help you do the placement as well. So, in a sense, I would say if you start from CFAP, you shorten the duration, and then at the same time, you also get more job security in a sense. So we look at scholarships. This is actually our new scholarship. We have some updates to it. So this is actually the Icw Global Accountant Scholarship. Starting from this year, so all of you SPM students, you're actually very fortunate because now we have made some changes to the requirements.
And in the meanwhile, if you have any more questions, all right, so please don't hesitate to contact either us in Icw or Evelyn or Teresa from Sunway Test. All right, we are always ready to help you.
Yep. You can WhatsApp my number, no issue. Or can just give me a call. Right. Do we have any more questions from the floor? And just to let you know that for next week also, the same time and same day, Friday, we're also going to actually be having our third session featuring a different guest. So same thing, I'll also be sending a reminder to all of your email. So no, please join us for the next session as well. We'll send you the Zoom link.
All right, thank you.
All
very
right,
much.
yeah, so if there's no more questions, I think we can wrap it up.
Thank you.
All right,
So
yeah.
I'd like to wish thank you to Sunway Test again for hosting us tonight and for having myself. I'm Ming Xiang from Icw. And thank you to Bryan for agreeing to be our guest tonight as well, to share his experience in audit, all right, with EY Malaysia. And thank you, Evelyn, for hosting the event tonight.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much, Ming Xiang. Thank you, Ming Xiang. Thank you, Bryan. All right, thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight. So we'll see you next week. Yeah, stay safe. We'll see you next week.
All right, thank you very much.
Bye. Thank you. Good night. Have a good weekend. Stay safe. Bye, everybody. Thank you.